There's something most older men will never admit out loud. A bold woman terrifies them a little and attracts them even more. Not because she's loud, not because she's wild, and definitely not because she's trying too hard to be alpha. A truly bold woman has a kind of energy that cuts through a man's defenses almost instantly, especially an older man who has spent years around surface-level conversations, fake politeness, emotional games, and people pretending to be something they're not. Then suddenly, he meets a woman who says exactly what she thinks, looks him directly in the eyes, teases him without fear, touches his arm confidently while talking, and instead of waiting to be chosen, she chooses herself first. Brother, that changes the entire atmosphere. Now, let me say something important before we go deeper into this. Bold does not mean disrespectful. It doesn't mean arrogant. And it definitely doesn't mean chaotic. A truly bold woman isn't trying to dominate every room she enters. She's simply comfortable inside her own skin. And older men secretly crave that energy more than most people realize. Why? Because older men are tired. Not physically tired necessarily, emotionally tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of shallow connections. Tired of decoding mixed signals from people who don't even know what they want themselves. That's why confidence in a woman becomes magnetic over time, especially to a mature man. Now think about this honestly. A younger man often chases excitement first. But an older man? He starts valuing emotional clarity, peace, depth, and realness. And a bold woman often brings that naturally. She says what she means. If she likes you, you feel it. If she doesn't, you feel that too. There's something incredibly refreshing about emotional honesty. Now, here's the funny part. A lot of older men say they want a confident woman until they actually meet one. Then suddenly they panic, because bold women force men to become emotionally honest too. You can't hide behind fake masculinity around a woman who sees through performance immediately, and mature women often do. Now let's talk about one thing older men secretly love but rarely admit. They love when a woman initiates energy. Not control, energy. A playful text first, a teasing comment, a compliment. A woman leaning closer during conversation instead of waiting for him to do every single thing. Do you know how emotionally rare that feels? Especially for men who spent decades carrying the pressure of always leading every interaction. A bold woman creates balance, and balance feels intoxicating. Now, obviously, masculine energy still matters. Leadership still matters. Strength still matters. But emotionally mature men are deeply drawn to women who bring life into the interaction instead of passively waiting to be entertained. That changes everything. Now here's where this gets psychological. A confident older man usually doesn't need constant validation anymore. He's already lived enough to know external attention fades quickly. What he truly craves is emotional aliveness. A woman who makes him feel awake again, curious again, playful again. And bold women trigger that because they create emotional unpredictability in a healthy way. You never fully know what she's going to say next. She challenges him a little, makes him laugh unexpectedly, looks at him with confidence instead of nervous approval seeking. That energy wakes something up inside a man, especially a man who's been emotionally bored for years. Now let me tell you something. Women often misunderstand about older men. Many older men do not want to feel worshipped. They want to feel understood. Huge difference. A mature man has usually experienced enough ego stroking to realize it means very little without genuine connection. That's why bold women stand out, because they often interact with him like a real human being instead of some performance figure. They tease him, challenge him, laugh at him sometimes. And weirdly enough, that emotional honesty often creates stronger attraction than endless admiration. Now, here's another thing older men secretly crave from bold women: direct desire. Yeah, let's talk about it. A lot of men spend years being expected to initiate everything: the first text, the first compliment, the first move, the first vulnerable moment, and honestly, it gets exhausting sometimes. That's why when a confident woman expresses attraction naturally, it hits differently. Maybe she holds eye contact longer than expected. Maybe she says, "You know you're attractive, right?" Maybe she lightly touches his chest while laughing. Maybe she says exactly what she wants instead of speaking in emotional riddles. Brother, that kind of confidence lives rent-free in a man's mind, especially an older man, because bold feminine energy feels incredibly rare. Now let's be clear. Men don't secretly crave aggression. That's not the same thing. There's a difference between a bold woman and a chaotic woman. A bold woman feels grounded, calm, and emotionally aware. She doesn't create drama just to feel powerful. She creates tension through presence. Huge difference. Now here's where many men accidentally sabotage themselves around bold women. They become intimidated instead of present. A woman flirts confidently, and suddenly the guy starts acting defensive, trying too hard to impress her, competing with her energy instead of flowing with it. Relax. A confident woman usually doesn't want a man she can control. She wants a man who can stay grounded in his own energy while appreciating hers. That balance becomes incredibly magnetic. Now, let's talk about emotional courage for a second. Do you know why bold women affect older men so deeply sometimes? Because many older men spent decades suppressing emotion, being strong, being responsible, being emotionally controlled all the time. Then suddenly, a woman enters their life who says things directly, feels things openly, and lives honestly. And part of him envies that freedom. That emotional honesty feels alive. And life becomes very attractive when you've spent years emotionally numb. Now here's another truth nobody talks about enough. Older men often become more emotionally sensitive over time, not less. They just hide it better. Life softens people emotionally in ways most don't expect. Loss, heartbreak, loneliness, divorce, regret, all of it changes a man internally. So when a bold woman enters his life with warmth, confidence, and emotional openness, it affects him deeply, sometimes deeper than he even understands himself. Now, let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a man in his 60s sitting across from a woman who's completely comfortable being herself. She's playful, confident, relaxed. She's not desperately trying to impress him, and because she's relaxed, he relaxes too. That's the magic. A bold woman often gives a man emotional permission to stop performing, stop pretending, and simply be present. And honestly, that feeling is incredibly intimate. Now here's another thing older men secretly crave: a woman who says what she wants emotionally instead of expecting mind reading. Brother, that alone lowers a man's blood pressure by 20%. Seriously. A mature man values emotional clarity far more than emotional games. He doesn't want to decode 12 hidden meanings behind every text message. He wants connection, peace, truth. And a bold woman often brings emotional transparency into relationships naturally. Now, obviously, confidence alone is not enough. Kindness matters too. Warmth matters. Emotional intelligence matters. Because confidence without empathy becomes arrogance very quickly. But when a woman combines confidence with emotional depth, That combination becomes unforgettable. Now, let's talk about physical energy for a second. One thing older men deeply notice about bold women is presence. Not appearance alone. Presence. The way she walks into a room, the way she sits close confidently, the way she maintains eye contact without shrinking herself, the way she casually touches his arm during conversation without fear. That feminine confidence creates tension immediately. Not because she's trying to seduce him aggressively, but because authenticity itself is attractive. People are starving for realness now, and confidence feels real. Now here's the irony. A lot of older men spent years chasing beauty, only to eventually realize emotional chemistry matters far more. Because beauty gets your attention, but emotional energy determines whether someone stays in your mind afterward. And bold women stay in men's minds because they create emotional impact. Now let me say something directly to the men watching this. If you meet a confident woman, don't punish her for being emotionally expressive. Don't assume she's too much because she knows herself. And don't confuse feminine confidence with masculinity. A woman can be deeply feminine and deeply bold at the same time. In fact, that combination is exactly what drives many mature men crazy emotionally. Because confidence in a woman often signals emotional freedom, and emotional freedom feels magnetic to people who spent most of their lives emotionally restrained. Now here's the deeper truth underneath all of this. Older men secretly crave bold women because bold women make life feel emotionally alive again. Not superficially exciting. Alive. The kind of connection where conversations feel electric, where silence feels comfortable, where attraction feels natural instead of stressful, where both people stop pretending and finally relax into honesty. And honestly, that's what most people are truly searching for underneath all the flirting and attraction anyway. Someone they can feel real with. Someone whose energy wakes something up inside them again. Someone who makes them forget to check their phone during dinner because the connection itself feels more interesting. That's rare now. And rare things become unforgettable. So if you're a man watching this and you meet a woman who's confident, playful, emotionally direct, and fully alive in her energy, don't run from it. Don't shrink from it. And don't assume you need to overpower it to stay masculine. Sometimes, the strongest thing a man can do is stay grounded enough to appreciate powerful feminine energy without feeling threatened by it. Because a bold woman doesn't take away a man's strength. She often inspires him to become more emotionally alive